So with the playoff field set, it's time to move on, but also reflect on the season that was. And we had a great season, from ball is dead in April and May that guys aren't hitting home runs because the ball is dead and there's no more juice in the baseballs, to oh my gosh, there's a guy hitting 60 home runs and 700 home runs respectively, and new changes are coming in for play next year, but we're still not done with this year, and it's time now to get into the World Series. Or should I say, why I want each team to win the World Series, and have a little something special at the end, so you want to stick around for that. And we're going to go by 1 through 6 seeding as it currently stands. Again, the NL East might finish differently, but I'm going how it currently stands and how I think it will probably end up. So with that being said, why do I want the Dodgers to win the World Series? Well, I mean, the answer is pretty simple. This is the easiest answer of them all. They are my team. They are my team. I want to see them win every year. It's not going to happen every year because it's baseball, but of course I want to see them win. But besides me just being a fan and wanting them to win, I mean, this is the best regular season in Dodgers history, right? This is the best season in Dodgers history. And so to cap it off with the World Series on top, that's the way it's got to be done. So if it's not done, maybe it might be the biggest disappointment in Dodgers history, right? So that's a whole other topic for discussion, but they've had the best season of all time for the Dodgers perspective, and one of the best seasons ever in MLB history. Capping it off with a World Series win just seems right. Got to get it done. Why do I want the Braves to win? Well, they're the defending World Series champions. You know, y'all just got one down in the ATL. Why do you need another one? Well, personally, I was rooting for the Braves after they beat us last year because I didn't want to see the Astros win. Over the years, the Braves have been really good to me as far as like the players on that side, even though some of them have come and gone already, but still I like a lot of guys on that team, even new guys, the Olsons, like the Kenley Jensens, right, former Dodger, but just a great group of guys, a group of guys that know how to win. They're all business, they get down to it, and you know what, I would like to see them win again. If they have to take us out, that would not be cool, but nothing but the best, except when they face us. Why would I like to see the St. Louis Cardinals win? Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious. It's the easiest answer to give. The farewell tour. It's the farewell tour of Pujols, Yachty, and Wainwright. Two of those guys have been together for their entire career in Molina and Adam Wainwright. Most battery starts in MLB history, so that's really cool. Pujols came back this season and gave it one last go around. I think he's gonna retire this year, even though like he hasn't formally announced it. His wife announced it and then he denounced it, but I think he is gonna announce it soon if he hasn't already, I guess. But nonetheless, this is supposed to be the last time with these core of players, and to see the Cardinals win it would be cool. I'm a big fan of Goldschmidt and Arenado. To see them win it would be also pretty cool. So again, I'm a Dodger fan, but I like a lot of players, as many of you guys probably do, and I wish them nothing but success, except when they play us. So to see those guys win it, especially the last time, that would be a magical season, to say the least. Why do I want the Mets to win it? Well, I mean, I want the Mets to win it, but again, like, I like a couple other players, but really the biggest thing to me is the New York drought. New York sports has been pretty awful for the last decade and some. I think the last team to win a championship was the Yankees in 2009, so they went the whole 2010 decade without winning a pro sports championship. Scratch that, I think it was the Giants in 2011, but still, that's 10 plus years, and that's a long time for a New York franchise to not win a championship. And Steve Cohen, you know, the richest guy in sports, has the biggest payroll with the Mets, which means big things to come, right? They want to win, so really I would like to see the Mets win just to end that New York drought. I think when New York teams are in it, everything is better. For the Padres, well, they're going to do it without my guy if they have to do it, which you know, wouldn't feel right, but hey, I mean, the guys are in it. They earned this playoff spot, and that just goes to show you how good of a group they do have down in San Diego, which they should have made the playoffs last year. They collapsed. They had an epic choke, but not this year. They got it done. They're in the playoffs, likely to face the Mets. We'll see what happens, but again, I don't have no ill will towards Manny Machado. I wish Manny Machado but the best. He's a great player. And the Padres have never won the World Series. So it's the first team that has not won the World Series I've talked about so far. So the Padres getting their first World Series championship wouldn't be too bad. And lastly, in the National League, the Phillies. Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper is a superstar. He is a megastar. And with the Nationals, he had a couple of playoff runs there in DC, but ultimately they never got really far with Bryce in a Nationals uniform. And so to see Bryce on a big stage go deep into the playoffs, I think it'd be great. And the Phillies have really good fans in Philadelphia, so to see them go all the way to the Fall Classic would be really cool, and I'd be kind of down for that. Now for the American League. We'll start with the Astros, the #1 seed. This might trigger some feathers, but you know, their first World Series is kind of tainted. It's kind of tainted. So their first World Series is kind of tainted. So if they could get a World Series, you know, legitimately, that'd be pretty cool, I guess. For real though, I mean, the Astros are a good team. They've proven they're a good team. And so they've had a couple of World Series runs since 2017. They've come up short. Maybe third time's a charm. For the Yankees, as I mentioned with the Mets, sports are better with New York being good, and that's the case with the Yankees, especially the Yankees being good. It's been 13 years since the Yankees made the World Series, and so that's a really long time for the Yankees, and so it's time for them to go back to the World Series, hopefully versus the Dodgers, and I would love to see that. To cap off also what Aaron Judge has done this year, if they win the World Series, does he automatically re-sign? Maybe 75% chance, but the Yankees going far in the postseason is what baseball should want. For the Guardians, well, you know, they've had the longest drought. I think currently now it is the longest drought since the Cubs beat them in the 2016 World Series. I think it's something like 80 years, something like that, 75, 80 years. It's been a long time since Cleveland won a World Series, so I think they're due. Toronto, you know, Toronto has really good fans. Those fans get loud, even though it is a dome, so that might amp up the loudness, but they get really loud. They're really passionate fans in Toronto. And so see the Blue Jays go deep in October. World Series in Rogers Center would be pretty epic, I think. I like a lot of the players there, especially Bo Bichette, one of my favorites. So to see the Blue Jays go far, I think the fans would appreciate that a lot, and that'd be pretty cool to see. For the Mariners, well, like the Padres, they've never won a World Series. They've never won a World Series. In fact, I don't think they've ever even been in the World Series. I think they're the only team to have never appeared in a World Series, which is kind of mind-blowing. Thinking about it, like, okay, well, they're the only team to never be in the World Series, because I feel like there's been worse teams, but the Mariners haven't made the playoffs for 20 years until today or this month. So they've also been pretty bad, but they've never won a World Series. So to see them get a World Series, just cross another team, that's pretty cool, because you don't want to see teams be in misery, right? So I think that'd be pretty sick. And Julio Rodriguez, a little bit skeptical on him on first, but after seeing him in the Home Run Derby All-Star game and the rest of the season, he has earned my respect. He has got a fan in me, and to get a World Series in his first season, rookie year. Tampa Bay, the 6th seed, currently the last AL team. And, you know, we beat the Rays in the 2020 World Series. You know, I never really had a doubt in my mind. Well, I kind of did when it was 2-2, but if we couldn't beat the Rays, there would be a serious problem here. But we beat the Rays, and so the Rays, having that experience does help them and benefit them. They're always a sneaky team. You can't just count them out or overlook past them, because they do play good ball. And I think it would really help Florida. Florida, you know, the Marlins have won 2 World Series, but I feel like no one even cares or even thinks about it. But they've actually won 2 World Series, which is crazy to think about. And they're like 5,000 fans at the games, but I think the Rays winning World Series would really help that team, that market, that franchise, and maybe get some a deal in Tampa Bay somewhere to stay there, which I hope they ultimately do stay in Tampa, Florida somewhere. But winning a World Series for the Rays would be much needed. And so if you've made it to the end, I appreciate you. Thank you for sticking around, watching this video. On the screen, I have my predictions for the season that I originally wrote out and I made a video about. Check it out if you want, but predictions are right here. This is what I originally had, and it's pretty cool looking back and seeing where I was right, seeing where I was really wrong. And so y'all could talk about it in the comments, whatever you guys want about the predictions or this video of why I want your team to win the World Series. But just some notables. I really liked seeing how some of the records match up almost currently, or potentially could be, even if they're a couple games out. I think that's pretty almost spot on, so I like that a lot. And there's a lot that I really missed by a lot, like 20 games. So congrats to the Guardians for making the playoffs, the first seed in the Central. That's a pretty big mark, because I had them dead last. And the Braves, I don't think the Braves have had a 100-win season before this season, and so I had them at 1-1 without even knowing that. And look at them now, they're 100 wins currently, 2 games left. I like my chances of nailing that one. And the Padres too, I didn't have them in the playoffs in my preview, but I pretty much nailed their record, which is also nice to see. I like that a lot. And the same thing with the Mariners. So a couple wild card teams, Padres, Mariners, I kind of nailed their records, which is cool to see. So looking back at it, I got 4 out of 6 playoff teams right in the National League and 3 out of 6 right in the American League. I like to be a little bit better in the National League. American League, it's okay. I kind of miss on the Angels and Tigers. I mean, they're pretty awful, but other than that, not too shabby. 7 for 12, 7 out of 12. It's not too shabby, like I said. But yeah, so those are my predictions. Thank you guys for tuning in. Playoffs are about to begin. May the best team win. Good luck to your teams. Best time of year, October baseball. Let's enjoy it together. And I will see you guys on the next video.